And joining us today in our WTMY Artist Spotlight, great to welcome back someone who hasn't been with us in a while, but great to have her join us tonight. Great singer, a musician, and she has a brand new CD out called From Sassy to Divine, the Sarah Vaughan Project. Always fun to talk with Hampton Callaway. And I kind of checked through the archives. It's been several years since we chatted, way too long, but good to have you with us tonight.
Well, it's nice to talk with you again, Doug. A pleasure.
Yeah, congratulations first on the CD. I guess if you're going to pick a singer to kind of do a tribute to, I know you've done Barbra Streisand in the past. You've done a lot of Ella Fitzgerald music, but Sarah Vaughan right up there, isn't she?
Absolutely. I think she's one of the greatest voices of our time.
I grew up in New York, as you know, listening to the great station, former station WNEW. Of course, she was part of that for so long.
Yes. I missed that station. That was a great home for the music.
It really was. I know your friend Jonathan Schwartz does an online broadcast now, and on WNYC up there, kind of keeping it alive. We try and do that down here, but I'm glad you're bringing the music of Sarah Vaughan to. I know a lot of people know her, but maybe a younger audience never saw her, and that's good.
Right, exactly. That was one of the reasons you're absolutely right. That was one of the inspirations for the CD. Was I was feeling that perhaps Sarah was being forgotten by a new generation of listeners, and I wanted to tell her story, paint a portrait, celebrate her music, and it's been a thrilling experience going around the country celebrating her. And I really like this sort of legacy series that I've created over the years of honoring extraordinary talents and digging into their lives, like what made them become who they are, and how did they evolve, and how did they deal with the world as it was changing. It's a fascinating thing.
She kind of came maybe like slightly after the big band era, a little bit after Ella, kind of bridging the gap, I guess, late 40s, early 50s when she hit the scene, right?
And she got her start, actually, in the same place Ella got her start, at the Apollo Theater. And when she won the $10, she also won the chance to open for Ella, so I think that's an interesting timing.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I know she a little bit younger than Ella, but kind of more in like the Dizzy Gillespie area, that type of jazz early on.
Right. Well, and then she went into Earl Hines' band as a teenager, and then was brought into another band with the pioneers of bebop, which was pretty extraordinary for this really young girl to be in the midst of pioneering, trailblazing geniuses. And I credit her with one of the reasons why their music became so successful, because such a beautiful voice could interpret some more kind of challenging harmonies and new ideas. It suddenly made it romantic and even sexy.
That was a difficult type of music, I would imagine, to sing, because it wasn't typical melodies. No,
and she had the kind of level of musicianship that few singers had, because she was a pianist first, and that's how her first job was, to be the second pianist of Earl Hines and do a little singing, which is kind of amazing when you think about what a great voice she had. And I think that's one of the reasons why she commanded the respect of so many great instrumentalists, and she learned so much from them, because she had ears of steel and had such great friendships and was inspired by them, and I'm sure inspired them in turn.
When you listen to Sarah Vaughan recordings, it's almost an operatic type of voice. She had several octave range, didn't she?
Yeah, she had a 3-octave range, and she used it very expressively. I think one of the things I learned from Sarah Vaughan was she used her voice like a complete symphony orchestra. She had so many colors, and she'd bring out her cellos for one song and her trumpets for another and flute for another, and was so expressive. She really was able to even paint huge emotions with no words at all. So it's interesting, how she also was able to sing not only jazz but pop, and she had hits like Whatever Lola Wants and many other. Misty was kind of a pop hit, and she was able to bridge the gap between two different kinds of music, and both music was very popular in her time.
Now, she did do television. I guess she was on the variety shows, but not a lot of TV, right? I mean, so
no, she wanted to actually have a TV series, and they told her she wasn't pretty enough. Can you imagine?
Oh, terrible.
Terrible. I mean, but she was able to do. I did recently a multimedia show about her, and it was really fun to see her. For instance, with the Boston Pops and Wynton Marsalis, a very young Wynton Marsalis, and boy, she was cooking up a storm with that orchestra, and John Williams conducting, and she should have had a TV show. She was also very funny when she wanted to be, and It's funny when we think of people who are so successful and so famous. She wished that she had been more famous. Like her idea of fame was Tom Jones. Isn't that funny? But to me, she had a great life and a great career. It just ended too quickly at the tender age of 66 when she found out she had lung cancer. And I was actually at the last run of her life. She was at the Blue Note, and I was lucky enough to see her last show, and it was one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen. One of the songs on my CD, Send in the Clowns, was one of her biggest signature songs. And that night when I saw her there, she sang it with such emotion. I never heard anyone deliver it with so much gravitas. And then when I realized later on doing research for my show that was her last farewell performance, it made so much sense. So when I arranged Send in the Clowns, I decided to make it like Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata and give a minor key. And I think it gives a new color of perhaps what she was feeling in those last moments of her singing.
Yeah, from A Little Night Music, Stephen Sondheim.
Yes.
Great song.
Yes.
And that's not an easy song to sing either. It's got a range to it, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's a real acting song. I mean, it's short phrases, and it really tells a sort of an abstract story, but you have to make it very specific for yourself as a singer.
You talk about she didn't really think she was as successful maybe as the rest of us did, although she seemed to always work, at least from the little bit I know about her. Didn't seem to have any down periods, always seemed to have recordings out. Did she ever have a down period?
I think she didn't have a down period per se, but I think she had challenges with record companies. Every artist wants to do what they believe in, and some some record companies boss you around and say, you got to sing this material and you have to do this and that. So she, in order to stay true to herself, I think chose the smaller record companies after she got tired of all that. And I think that's when maybe she didn't have as much fame because they don't publicize their recordings as much and that sort of thing. She was true to herself. She wanted to do music she believed in, and so that's what she gave us, and that's why it's so powerful.
Yeah. Is her personal life a little bit rocky? I don't know a lot about it, but
she never really found the love of her life. I think that was the one thing missing. Oh, I think music was her great love. I think that's who was the one that she gave her heart to. All the songs.
Well, you're touring around the country now, touring around the world. I know you just came back from Europe not long ago, singing the music of Sarah Vaughan. How is it in Europe? I know they always seem to love American jazz. Still that way?
Well, I had first I was in I did a wonderful tour in South Africa at the Joy of Jazz Festival, and that was we did the Sarah Vaughan tribute there, and we had a huge reception from that. And then we went to London, and it was always a dream of mine to perform at Ronnie Scott's, and the people there was sold out, packed to the gills, and sometimes I feel like European audiences love this music even more than American audiences. They really love the freedom of it and the expressiveness of it, and it was a dream come true to be there, and I feel lucky to get to travel as much as I do and sing all over.
Yeah, I saw her Westbury Music Fair. I don't know the year. It was in the mid-'80s before I moved down to Florida, and I guess that might have been toward the end of her life at that point. I'm not sure what the year that she died, but a great show, and like you said, had some humor there, and just had the incredible range too of that voice. And
I find it also funny, so many singers do all these things to make sure they take care of their instrument. Sarah Vaughan did none of those things. She drank, she smoked, she did drugs, she partied, she never slept, and her voice always sounded magnificent. It's something that really baffles me.
Me too. You look at the guys like Sinatra and Dean Martin, Sammy. They did the same thing or didn't do the same thing. They take care of their voice. They smoked and whatever, and not. But
one of the things
that never seemed to affect them.
Right. I think that's because they were happy. They were living their life. They were living life with adventure and gusto. That's one of the reasons I chose the song "I'm Going to Live Till I Die" as my opening number for the CD, because that was the spirit. She lived her life with tremendous joie de vivre and went out there and had a good time, and since life is short, why not?
From Sassy to Divine, the Sarah Vaughan Project is the name of the CD, and I know you're traveling around the country, and you're going to be heading to our area, or you're going to be in Florida, I think, on the other side of the state around New Year's, but you'll be coming to St. Pete area, our area, in April, so hopefully we'll have you on to talk about that gig at that time, but check out Anne's website in the meantime. Anne, always great to chat with you for a few minutes, and congratulations on your personal life, too. I know you had a big change there, so we're happy for you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. It's a real joy. I have even more to sing about now.
That's right. And we'll talk to you hopefully in April. Have a good holiday season, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks so much.